Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. So over the past 2 weeks, we've talked about bullying. First, a little bit about what is bullying in the workplace and how big of an issue it is. Last week, we talked a little bit about if you're being bullied, how to solve that problem. And third, we're going to talk today about, have you been the bully? You know, sometimes we never want to think about us being a bully, and maybe that's a pretty extreme word. But as you really think about it, are there situations and times when you've been one of those people? One of those people who maybe, it doesn't have to be loud and obnoxious in the workplace, but sometimes it could be quiet and silent. That somebody has caused intimidation to you, or you have been feeling insecure. So let's talk about why you might be a bully or have been a bully. I think part of it is stepping back and thinking about first, when are those scenarios, when are those situations that come up that you may have bullied someone? It might be, again, that when you're feeling insecure. So something's happening in the workplace and someone else gets promoted, or someone else gets the information that you are wanting to receive, and all of a sudden you feel insecure, and that all of a sudden the insecurity goes up, and then you become the one who's being a bully to others. I think the other thing is thinking about, too, sometimes the intimidation factor is that if you're intimidated by somebody else, then sometimes you may lash out as well. 3 is really looking at the past, because sometimes when we look in the mirror, it's very difficult, and some of us kind of tuck the past away and don't like to deal with it. But really, when you think about being in control, I think there's this control piece of wanting to be in control because of maybe something that's happened in the past. And so if you were bullied, think back to those days when you were in the lunchroom or on the playground or wherever it happened, maybe even at your own home, which sometimes happened with brothers or sisters or even parents. That gets painful. It gets painful, and your way of dealing with it has to do with the way you deal with things today. So sometimes, because we've tucked that away and we really haven't dealt with it, we really, all of a sudden it kind of percolates up, and then that becomes a problem. And so when you think about that, that's usually control. It's control because the pain that I've dealt with is so horrible when I was young, and I don't want to do it again. And therefore, I'm going to be in charge, and I'm going to be in control. And when I feel like I'm in control, then I will never show my weakness, because that's the weakness that I had then. So, think about those times when you were maybe younger and what it felt like to be a bully. I don't think anybody has an intention to be it, but it's that awareness. It's that awareness that we need to first step back. So let's talk about how to step back. All of a sudden you're going, oh wow, I've never really thought about it. Me, myself, when I was going through the book about the bully at work and looking at the comments around that, I had to step back myself and say, gosh, I know there's the time that I'm a constant critic. There's a time that I have this maximizer part of my strengths that wants everything to be perfect. And I know sometimes my team doesn't feel great about it because I'm picky about certain things, and I am. And so I have to step back and say, what matters, right? What really matters? Is that really going to matter? And 2, how do I really give that feedback back in a positive way, not in a critical way? And what do I claim myself? That I have to claim that I'm human and I know that about myself, but I've managed it. So, looking in the mirror is tough, and, we may not quote label it as bullying, but I think we need to step back and say, gosh, has there been times that I have been that consistently? Or maybe even is there a time in my life when I find that I was under a lot of stress and that maybe I was a little bit more critical, and being aware of that. So, I think for us to step back and think about that is really important, and really go back. I'm not asking you, if you're not ready to deal with some of those old wounds from the past, to deal with them. But what I am saying is our responsibility as leaders and managers and peers and subordinates and partners to our people, whether that's clients or our employees or anyone in our workplace, is we really have to take responsibility of our actions. It's our responsibility to be the best that we can be at leadership and management and just being a good coworker. And so we have to take responsibility of that. So when you think about it, how do we do that? Well, first looking in the mirror and understanding it, where it's coming from. So for positive charge this week, I will want to first think about, number 1 is, have you been a bully? 2, what are those situations, or why have you been a bully? And 3, how can you really think about fixing that? When we think about bullying, and maybe we have been a bully in the past, I think it's important to come up with having an accountability partner, or really understanding who we are and how we can take a hold of being a better manager, better leader, and a better associate by understanding our actions and how we treat others. We love to have an engaging workplace, and it's our responsibility to be a part of that. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.